Today I'm going to show you one of the biggest reasons why it's my personal, genuine feeling that there really are more bad cops than good cops. Some foolish people are going to scoff at that and stop right there and start leaving hate comments. But the truth hurts, and I know that's not the majority of people. I'm going to show you why a cop that might think they are a good cop, and people might think they're a good cop, truly at their core are a bad cop too. And believe it or not, a lot of cops are going to agree with this. But unfortunately, due to that blue line, most will never admit to it. As you know, I did that job for many years, but I'm reformed now. And I'm not going to get into the whole backstory. I've done that before. I'll probably do it again one day. But I was definitely a black sheep. I didn't fit in because I refused to align with that image, that ego, that caused me to always say I hated cops. And that didn't change while I did do that job. And it hasn't changed now. But it's a general statement. When I say that, or the whole FTP, I refer to the general image that was created and has been kept very strong by bad cops. But I saw horrific things. I saw dirty things. I saw corrupt things. And I never saw any agency that was free of those things. I'm going to give you an example by telling you about one of these terrible things, these terrifying things, something I witnessed and experienced myself. And I'll explain why it's easier and more common to be a bad cop than a good cop. Late one night, probably 2 or 3 a.m., a woman called 911 from the apartment that she lived in on the 3rd floor. She said that her ex-boyfriend was outside her door, pounding and banging on the door, demanding to come in. She said he seems super drunk. He's being loud, obnoxious, waking up all the neighbors, embarrassing her. And she doesn't want him in trouble. She just wants him to go away. And they had been broken up for some time. I got there and I climbed the 3 flights of concrete steps with metal edges, a detail that will come into play. And I found the dude on the 3rd floor in front of her door. I heard him before I went up there. He was still yelling, crying, banging. I talked to him. He didn't give me a hard time. He was just very drunk and he really missed his ex and probably would be embarrassed by his actions the next day once he sobered up. But he didn't seem like a bad dude. So I tried to calm him down. Just tell him, hey man, you're not in trouble, but you just can't stay here doing this. To shorten up the story, again, he wasn't being a jerk, but he just was not going to leave. I talked with him for so long. I was literally pleading with him, pleading to not be arrested. You don't want that. I don't want that. But you just can't be doing what you're doing, man. And I tried everything to try to get him to where he needed to be, and he just flat out refused. He said he'd rather be arrested. I think I had more of a problem with it than he did. At this point, my supervisor shows up. Real short guy. Another detail that'll come in handy later. He came up the stairs and immediately escalated what was a calm scenario. He came up, barking orders at the guy, calling him names, and obviously upsetting the dude. So the guy started yelling at him and calling names back. But this cop, this supervisor, apparently had that mentality that if you've got a badge, you can talk crap. You can call names, you can yell at people. But no, a citizen can't do the same. And he got angry. I mean, he got for real mad. He rushes over, puts this guy in handcuffs, continues to call him names. And in turn, the guy's calling him names back, which is really pissing off the supervisor. So now he's going to walk him back to the police car, which is downstairs. Dude's handcuffed behind his back, gets dragged over to the top of the stairs, and the cop's like kind of dragging him down the first flight of stairs. We got 3 flights to go on. But because he's being dragged, and he doesn't have his hands to balance, plus he's drunk, and kind of being dragged sideways, it doesn't work that well. You can't really walk down stairs sideways in the situation he was in. So he falls down. And because this fall was caused by the cop, he starts yelling and swearing at the cop again. The cop now gets down on his knees and he's pissed. The dude's face down on the stairs, and the cop like presses his hands into the back of the guy's head, pressing his face up against the concrete stair. And then with his face pressed into the concrete, the cop punches him in the back of the head. And this cop seems so pissed. He was in a rage. I had not seen anything like this before. And he yanks him back up by the arms and starts pulling him down the stairs. And the thought that entered my mind right then, genuinely, was, oh shit, he's going to kill this guy. He's going to throw him off the balcony. They were approaching the first flat where there's a balcony right there. And the way he was acting, the way he was talking, and his actions so far, my true belief was he's going to kill this guy. I thought he was going to kill him. Again, this is my supervisor, and I was fairly new at the time. but I was a person above anything else. So I ran up and I took the guy from him and I said, "Hey, I got him, I'll take him down." Literally believing I just saved this guy's life, or severe permanent injury. I'm relieved when I get the guy to the bottom of the stairs, and then the supervisor comes up again, hooks his arm into this guy's handcuffed arms, and pulls him away from me and starts bringing him over to the police car. He pushes him into the hood, slams his face up against the hood of the police car. He's got his hand on the back of his head, and he's still raged. He's talking like this, and he's swearing at the guy and calling him names. And this whole scenario went on for a while, and it was pretty loud leading up to this point. And I look over at the adjacent building, and I see witnesses. I wish they had been recording, and there was no body cams at that time. But there was 2 or 3 witnesses. And I thought to myself, oh, you are screwed now. I was glad to see that people were witnessing this. I had previously come forward several times to administration about actions of bad cops, and I was always told there's nothing they can do on my word. Tell the citizens they got to write a complaint. There has to be a victim, and I did, believe me. I pled with citizens on multiple occasions to write complaints. Most are afraid to do it. But anyway, in this case, I knew there were witnesses. They're standing right there watching, and I felt embarrassed and ashamed to be part of it. Even though I'm trying to do the right thing, in my mind what the public sees is just generally the police brutalizing somebody, and I want no part of that. So the supervisor puts the guy in the back of my car, because he's the supervisor. He sees the witnesses over there, so he walks over to approach them. I was surprised, and I'm thinking, oh crap, he's going to go over and threaten them or something. But as he approaches, he changes his demeanor, and what's coming next was one of the most dirty but very common things I'd seen. He walks up to them and he's like, "Oh, geez, do you believe this guy? What a jerk, huh? Can you believe he's fighting me like that?" Dude never fought. He then manipulated these people and essentially painted them the picture of what they saw, the picture that he wanted. And some people just think it's cool to be on the side of cops, and they were going along with his story, his fairy tale. But then here's where it gets really dirty, because he knows that he could be fired and charged for what he did. He knows he went overboard. He knows he brutalized this guy. Excessive force is an understatement. But he wouldn't have to worry about it if he had independent witnesses given the same account he gives. So he got each of them to write a statement. Statements painting the picture that he painted for them instead of the real picture. I couldn't believe it. I was devastated because I really thought, oh, this is it. You're done. You are screwed. And you're likely going to be on the news. I couldn't believe what he had just done with those witnesses. I was without words. And in my mind, I'm figuring out, what the hell next? Again, remember, I'm pretty new, and I know I got to do something. I just don't know exactly how I'm supposed to go about it. This is my supervisor. What do I do? Had I known then the things that I know now, I would have done things a little bit differently than I did. But either way, I had to do something. So now I got to drive this guy in the back of my car to the police department. And as I do, this guy's pissed back there, rightfully so, obviously. He's like, "That cop is effed. I'm going to sue him. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." And I said, "Yes, I hope that you do." And I was being real. I'm being genuine with him. I was telling him the steps that he's going to have to take, and told him that I will back him. I was there. I saw everything. I even told the guy, I thought he was going to kill you. I was terrified he was going to kill you. And he thanked me for taking me away from him going down those stairs, because he also thought he was going to get thrown off the balcony. So I get to the department. We're sitting outside in the car, but the window's down. It's kind of cool out. A few minutes later, the supervisor shows up, pulls up behind me, starts telling me what to charge this guy with and what to write in the report. That's not happening. I'm not doing that. And he didn't like that, but I didn't care. So he's going to do it. He's going to write it up. Now, the dude's still sitting in the back of my car because, it's not over yet. And the windows are down. I stay out there the whole time. And the supervisor, he's, back and forth, in and out of the building, back and forth to his car. He keeps walking by several times. And both of them are talking crap to each other. And this whole time in my mind, it was a weird scenario to be in mentally, because I know he got these witnesses to back up his false claims and to back up the false report he's about to write. But I also know this victim is going to make some allegations, valid ones, allegations that I'm going to fully back up, and I'm going to write in my own report. So they're insulting each other back and forth as the supervisor passes here and there. And I'm at the front of the car. I'm leaned over on the hood writing something. And the guy, or I should say the victim, throws a pretty slick insult at him. It was a good one. I can't for the life of me remember what it was, but I do remember it had something to do with this guy being so short, the supervisor being so small. And suddenly that rage came back. And he approached that car. He's like, "What did you say? What did you say?" And he opened the door, and I saw that he reached in and he kind of made like a lunging motion. At the same time as that motion, the victim went like, "Ugh!" Then the cop slammed the door shut and walked up to me. I was stunned. Then he walked up to me laughing. Then he brags. He's like, you know what I did? I opened up that door, and he does the motion. He's like, I punched him in the throat just like this. That was so effed up on so many levels. It was offensive. It was offensive to me because I'm thinking, you do that and you think that I'm the type of person you can come brag about? You can brag to about doing that? You think I'm on your level? We're not the same. But what that also told me was that cops have that mentality, which is the blue line that I always said is a gang sign. Hate that blue line. That they can tell each other and joke to each other and high five with each other about stuff like that. And they will protect each other. But I was that black sheep. Thankfully, the guy wasn't brutalized anymore after that. I talked to him some more about making sure he makes a complaint. I even told him about the witnesses. The cop told them what to say, and they wrote it in a statement. I told them, don't be afraid to make this complaint and get an attorney. Don't be afraid of any of that. I am going to back everything 100%. And I went forward with it. So they told me they're going to investigate it. I guess the victim did come forward too, and they told me not to talk to the cop. And I knew that they were going to interview him one morning. I knew the date and the time that they were going to interview the supervisor, the cop. And shortly after that time, on that day, I got a call from him, and I didn't answer it. He left a brief message, just something like, "Why would you do that to me?" The better question would be, why did you do that to yourself? But why did I do what I did? Because I'm a person, I'm not a cop, and I have nothing to do with your blue line gang. And to me, and many people, that's what that blue line represents. That expectation that they will cover for each other and not be honest. But in typical police fashion, do you think the situation was dealt with appropriately? Choose A for it was handled appropriately. Choose B for he was given the opportunity to retire on the spot. If you chose B, you'd be correct. They did send a report to the state attorney's office, however, so they could make the determination whether or not to charge him as he should be charged. And no surprises here again, they did not charge him. So he walked away just having to find a new job. If only the people were protected the same way cops are. If only they cared about the citizens as much as they care about that damn blue line and all the corruption it represents. Now, I mentioned this would also detail why there are so many bad cops. And that's because the vast majority of people would not go forward. They would not do what I did. They would lie right along with the other one. Or they turn their back and they claim they didn't see anything. Or, I do not recall. That's a common phrase. I guarantee every cop out there, at least the ones that aren't brand new, have seen bad cops do bad things. And they have done nothing about it. They said nothing. At the very least, said nothing. If not, lie for him. Immediately, that cop becomes a bad cop. Just as guilty as the one that did it. Because you're not protecting the people. You're protecting that blue line. That filthy blue line. They're afraid of being looked at as a black sheep. Afraid of retaliation. F all that. I didn't care about any of that. I was already the black sheep. And I was proud to be it. I hated cops. I hated the general perception. And that's a perfect example of why. For any cop that might be watching this, and you think you're a good cop, but you're remembering the bad things that you've seen, that you turned your back on, didn't say anything about, you're wrong. You're not a good cop. You're a bad cop. And that oath that you recited when you first got hired may as well have been Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, because it means nothing. But this stuff is way too common. You see examples of it in the videos that I put out. The blue line sticks together. Administration ignores issues, real issues with evidence, try to turn things back around on the citizen, retaliate, refuse to speak to citizens, all to protect that blue line. And these are all things that a majority of people don't know about. People that get that blue line sticker to put on their car to show their support, or that back the blue sticker. They want to think they do, but they have no idea what they're blindly supporting. Back the blue until it happens to you, right? Those same people get mad at myself and others who do these things that I do, that try to inform and educate and expose. Somehow we're the bad guy for showing you what goes on. That's just ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. And that's just one story. There's more. And if you find a cop that tells you what I'm saying in this video isn't true, then you found a cop that's lying to you, no matter how badly you want to believe they're telling you the truth. But you don't have to believe me either, and I'm not here to convince you or anybody. You can either have reality or your imagination. Obviously, the imagination is more pleasant, and the truth often hurts. But it is what it is, and this is why I do what I do. If I could go back and decide whether or not to be a cop, would I do it again? Nope. Quick, simple answer. I learned a lot over the years. I continue to learn every day. I was foolish when I thought, no, you know what? F that. I'm going to be one of the good ones. I can change it from the inside. I can actually be for the people and be cool to people. Make people not have the image of cops that I have of cops. Not happening. It runs too deep and it's too big. More people knowing and standing up for their rights and exposing it is how we just begin to get somewhere. Demand accountability. Always film the police. Feel free to share your thoughts. Twisted luck. I'll see you soon.